The
Bosso,
intro so nice, we played it twice.
Bosso just completely botched our intro. You're fired. You're fired. He's done so well. He's done so well and just completely botched it.
But we have no tolerance.
I'm gonna blame it. He just had LASIK a couple days ago. He can't see, so
this is wild. Like
he can't see the buttons.
Like he's such a cool dude, but now that he's walking around the office in shades, I mean, he just looks like a huge prick.
He's got a Stevie. He's got a I said Bosso, and he pokes his head up behind his computer screen. He's got his shades on. He looks like Stevie Wonder. I can't help but laugh when I see.
I'm gonna call him Bono from now on. All right, Bono.
This wasn't on the agenda for 30 seconds of bashing Bosso, but got a pretty cool show this week talking about Elon Musk says that we need more oil and gas. Already starting to see second order effects of the Inflation Reduction Act, increasing manufacturing of solar panels and batteries. So let's get into it. Let's talk about refineries first, Chuck. You became an expert over the last, what, 2 hours?
24 hours. I've talked.
I was going to say 24 hours. But
I've had 3 refining conversations. The rest of my collective life, maybe 2. Here goes. So basically, the Secretary of Energy wrote a letter to all the refiners that said something to the effect of store up refined product in the United States, or else, I don't know how subtle it was. She said there will be an export ban, meaning you can't send your refined products out. Let me show one chart just real quick on this. This is exports of refined products from the United States. And, you know, for years it was pretty low because we had a ban on crude oil out. So anyway, that kept refined products here. But I mean, look what's happened. It's, you know, exponential. It almost looks like a meme stock in terms of
is that GameStop's stock chart.
Exactly. So, okay, what's going on here? Obvious take number one, because everything with this administration is all about the midterm elections. So basically, right about now is when refiners go from summer stock to winter stock. You start making things, kerosene, you know, that sort of stuff, so that you can heat your house in the winter. So people are starting to put orders in for that stuff. And if they can't get their orders, that leads to people freezing in the winter. It leads to you know, those type issues that cause people to vote for Republicans instead of Democrats. So that's number one reason why the letter's going on. 2, this is what I found out. There have been a lot of announced as well as unannounced outages at the refineries in America. Mm-hmm. And you get in, you dig in, people are saying, well, we've been running balls to the wall because margins have been so high. We've been running at, you know, utilizations in the 90%. Shit just happens, you know, if you do that too. The other thing is they're taking interns for 6 months and then making them crew chiefs because of the people type issues. So that's leading to the problems. Third, I haven't heard this, so this is totally my tinfoil hat, but I think cyber attacks are going on too, and that's potentially part of this stuff. Yeah. So this is potentially a thing from the administration saying, refining, get your shit together, make sure we have supplies for the winter or else.
I think that chart that you showed, I think we talked about this on the show a few weeks ago, but Sri Suki back in the day raises billions of dollars to build these LNG facilities. And at the time, you can never imagine the United States becoming an exporter, right? And so all of a sudden shale revolution happens, and you know that chart shows it. You know, 2012, 2013 is when that curve really starts taking off. And so Sharif has to go raise billions of dollars, retool these LNG facilities to now become exporters.
We're not catching, we're pitching.
Yeah, and now you got to imagine the frustration from someone like that, where now he's like, okay, now you face the potential export ban.
Yeah.
And he's invested billions of dollars to get these facilities up and running.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens with LNG, because it's, you know, with refined products, you're basically sending gasoline to the rest of the world. With LNG, Europe truly needs that, you know, so there may be a different dynamic with LNG versus refined products, but You don't know that. I mean, that's the next logical step is people are cold in America. Guess what? You can't send your LNG anywhere.
Yeah, I saw this post from Next Wave EFT, who's one of my favorite accounts on EFT because I just learned a lot of things from his tweets. But his tweet said, this winter, New England, one of the richest places on Earth, situated 250 miles from the largest gas field on Earth, will be competing to import LNG cargoes away from Europe, a region on the verge of collapse who needs every molecule they can get to survive. And then he also put out a GIF that said, "Live, look at Putin." And I don't know who this guy is. I think it's from Game of Thrones. I've never watched Game of Thrones, but it's got like this like winter evil boss looking.
Oh yeah,
thing.
winter's coming.
Yeah, winter's coming. So, anyways, that kind of articulated some of the just bad energy policy that we have.
But here is the big deal about this letter, and this is actually true. I'm not making this up. We need refining capacity in the United States. We've had like what, 1.5 million, 2 million barrels go offline over the last, call it 5-6 years. When you go, you know what, we need refining. I'm going to go build a refinery. And you look to arrange financing. You talk to banks for debt. You talk to equity investors. The first question they get is, what if the administration puts the export ban in place and you can't sell your product? Show me how much tankage you have. Can you actually refine your product and hold it if you're not able to sell it? And then they get into kind of the game of risk, if you will. It's, where is your refined product? Because who's ever closest to market is going to get to sell their product first, and then we're going to work backwards. And it's and basically the other requirement they're going to put on you to be able to get financing to do this is, show me a contract that guarantees the input prices and and then show me a contract that the sales prices for your refined product, and get me to pay back in a return. We need more of this in the administration. That this is this is proof positive that administration policy can have a chilling effect on investment. And I've seen it firsthand.
It's got to be incredibly complex to underwrite a deal like that. I mean, just listening to you talk about all the things that need to be taken into consideration with your assumptions. Yeah, that's just a lot and a huge risk too. I mean, either one of those things, I mean, it goes a little south, it could make the whole project be uneconomic, right?
Again, and what have we done? So we've taken 1.5 million, 2 million barrels a day offline. China's built 3 million barrels. Again, we're just exporting energy over to China.
Yeah.
And they don't really care about the environment. I hate to break this.
Well, also China just has the ability to build, right? And what happens is you start getting scar tissue. And this is whether you're talking about companies or governments, where there just becomes so many layers of red tape that you have to move through, the scar tissue, and it makes it to the point where you can't move, and really has put the United States at a disadvantage when it comes to building out infrastructure, which is actually a good segue into our next story, which highlights the second order effects of the Inflation Reduction Act and what it's having on some manufacturing. What do you have on that story?
So basically, Inflation Reduction Act comes out and it has the money for climate change that's going to the new economy stuff. And it's interesting because it gets really specific. So it's saying, hey, $7,500 tax credit for an electric vehicle. But oh, guess what? That battery has to be manufactured in the United States. And oh, by the way, 40% of the battery's materials have to be mined in North America. So it's not just, hey, we're going to go to electric vehicles, here's some money, and y'all fight it out and figure it out. They're going almost writing the prescription, if you will, of this. The other thing that happened too, so LG and Honda have announced a $4 to $4.5 billion partnership to build batteries and in America. They haven't announced the location, but they're talking about the Honda plant in Ohio, partnering up there. And then First Solar came out and said they're going to build a new 3.5 gigawatt plant to make solar panels in the United States.
Which is a $1.5 billion investment that they're making into that plant.
And they attribute it straight
Yeah.
to the IRA.
Yeah. We literally talked about this last week on the show about how America needs to get back to building and manufacturing things, and how, we were talking about geothermal and like how Fervo Energy is co-locating with either tech companies or manufacturers to provide energy on site. And I think that's this shows that trend is definitely going to continue with the help of some government subsidies. So I'm excited about that because I want to see America, Texas specifically, become a builder again. And you look over the last, I don't know, 20 to 30 years, how all manufacturing has shifted to China. I think we're going to start seeing it come back to the United States and Mexico as well.
Well, I think they said North America so we could go down to Mexico and exploit the mines down there without the U.S. regulations on it. I agree with you on those sentiments, and I will actually say that's a 180 for me, because I was always a free trader growing up, but go through a pandemic and you can't get an N95 mask because they're made in China.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, not a Trump fan, but maybe Trump was right about we need to be building stuff at home. The worry I have is the way I'd like to build stuff at home is let's reduce regulation, let's reduce red tape, and let the market sort it out, instead of you do as I say and you'll get these tax credits. Because look at this. They go spend $4.5 billion on this plant to build batteries here, all for the $7,500 per car they're going to sell their electric vehicles. What if we can't mine that much lithium in North America? I mean, I'm blanking on the name of the company, but we talked about it, I think 3 weeks ago on BDE. Company has a mining operation they've wanted to do in North Carolina, and they tried for 15 years, and they finally said, screw it, and went to the Congo, because they're like, they just won't let us mine.
Yeah.
So I'm worried about using the stick as opposed to the carrot with this push towards manufacturing.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm a free markets guy too, and a capitalist through and through. But look, most of the innovation in the world has come from government support. We're actually talking about this the other day on a Hardcore History podcast with Dan. Man, what's his last name? Anyways, people know who I'm talking about. But he's like, if you ever want to write a great book, he's like, write about all the great that the Nazis did for the world, from their technological advancement, both in machinery and physics and in
horrifically
biology.
To say this, medicine.
Yeah, medicine.
Oh,
yeah. But that's obviously a very extreme, negative use of government. But like Tim over at Fervo is, I mean, he talks about this a lot, that catalysts from government actions spur it's a catalyst for private markets to start pouring in. And so I think it's good to balance. And my thing always is like, I'll happily pay taxes if it goes to investing in education, healthcare, and energy infrastructure. And so it's balancing the capitalist free markets with also understanding, like, hey, if we're going to spend money on anything, let's spend it on investing in the American people. So,
but what we did here, and I know I'm kind of beating a dead horse on this, but what we did here is we went all in on electric vehicles. So if gasoline, for instance, made out of natural gas instead of oil, which would have a much smaller, maybe a 75% smaller carbon footprint than traditional gasoline, if that's the right answer, not going to happen now, right? Yeah. I mean, we have gone all in on electric vehicles. That's where the money's going to chase. And so I can't do a good job of articulating, but it feels like historically the government would say, we'll throw some money at it and kind of have, some free markets go at it, and whoever wins.
Yeah.
This feels like, no, we're choosing electric vehicles. We are choosing solar.
Yeah.
They have chosen the winners here.
Yeah.
And that just feels different than our 200 some odd year history.
Yeah. Oilfield Rando, which if you don't follow Oilfield Rando on Twitter, you should, because this guy's just a fucking character. But he's a roughneck. Dude is constantly flaming people on Twitter. But his unique skill set is that he will sit there and read every bill line by line and give a review of the bills, and then people will pay him tips for doing that. And so Willful Rando sends me a message. He says, "Hey man, check out section 136 on page 256 of the IRA. Bitcoin mining off of flared gas might actually qualify for some of this $1.5 billion in grants. Also notice that they can be used for plug and abandonment on non-federal land too. Spread the word." So Willful Rando out there doing the Lord's work in reading this bill and figuring out where money's going to. And then I was going to say a second thing as well. I think oil and gas specifically needs to look at how they play into these things. Like, the other day I had Kay McCall on the Oil and Gas Startups podcast, and she's head of REAL, which is the Renewable Energy Alliance. And she had no idea that, I was talking about like, hey, there's a tech company, Lilac Solutions. They have this incredible technology that can extract lithium out of brine water. So where there's a ton of brine water? West Texas. And there's
we dump it on the ground out there. Ask Ashley.
We just throw that shit out on the ground. And so anyways, and then I was talking to one of my buddies who is both a Bitcoin miner, oil and gas guy, and he's an investor in Lilac. And I told him about this, and he's like, yeah, me and my dad are investing in lithium wells. And so there's going to be a big wave. You want to talk about lithium production? Well, if you're an oil and gas company and you're good at producing these minerals, should look into it.
Well,
that's my Joe Rogan, Eddie Bravo, look into it.
No, I like that, because one of the things an oil and gas company gets stuck in the mindset of is we produce oil and gas, and it's like, step back a little. You drilled a hole. You have shit come out of it. You can sell it. You got other shit that you can take stuff out of and sell that too. You can mine Bitcoin. Open your minds there, guys. Because if you think about it, you're pumping produced water out. You're putting it in a truck, sending it to a well, or, you've got a disposal well nearby. You're literally just inserting tanks and batteries to be able to strip the lithium out.
Yeah.
So,
Same thing.
Yeah. No, it's...
Joshua left us a comment. He said, "Love BDE. So glad that have time to watch this live this week." Joshua, we love you, dude. Much love. Thanks for tuning in.
I don't know who CM Watts CDS1 is, but saying amen, Chuck, I kind of liked. Preach it, Chuck.
People know how to get featured comments. You just
say Chuck.
Say nice things to Chuck. So on this note of electric vehicles, energy transition, oil and gas, Elon Musk made headlines yesterday saying that we need more oil and gas to bridge the transition to renewables. What's your take on that, Chuck?
Well, of course we do.
Oh, was it not your take on the substance of what he said? Your take on Elon saying it.
Stating the obvious with an air of discovery. No, one, he's absolutely right, because we've said a lot on here. It's not a transition. It's more. It's addition. So one. Two, it's cool that a tech California guy who, as he likes to say, I've done more to protect the environment than anyone else on the planet, is recognizing that as well. Because we've talked about it around here, right? At the end of the day, if you're being intellectually honest and you're being fair and you're being measured in terms of what we know, what we don't know, hydrocarbons do a lot of good. And we can't dismiss that, but it's got to be balanced with, we ignore the increase in CO2 and possibly what it's doing to our climate at our own peril. So there's this balancing act. And the true way is not to go dictate EVs, solar, renewables, all that. The true way to do it is twofold. One, we got to increase everybody on the planet's standard of living as quick as we can. Because at the end of the day, the U.S. can reduce carbon because of our standard of living. India can't yet. So we need to advance other people's standard of living as fast as we can. And two, it's going to be technology. Mm-hmm. Technology is going to drive that. And the way we get that technology is not prescribing it today. It's encouraging shots on goal.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I think one thing a lot of people don't know about Elon is SpaceX bought a natural gas lease from Sanchez Energy like 2 years ago down in South Texas. They need feedstock for SpaceX, and so why go through markets?
He's a wildcatter now.
Elon Musk is a wildcatter. And then, he made a comment on Joe Rogan's podcast. I think it was like last year. And essentially he said, look, we shouldn't demonize people that work in oil and gas. He's like, for all of their life, they've done something that is very positive for the planet and energize the world. He's like, they've done good work and work that they can be proud of. And now all of a sudden the world's telling them that they're evil. And he's like, that's not right. And imagine how they feel. And so this isn't new. I mean, Elon Musk is pretty, I think he's pretty level-headed when he thinks about these things. And, Elon and I are like, the other day I made a comment about energy demand having the potential to scale infinitely. And someone's like, oh, you don't understand linear functions or exponential functions. And I'm like, look, dude, you're not taking into account that, I'm a futurist, pretty optimistic about our future and the ability in space travel. And obviously Elon is too. Well, guess what? It's going to take a shitload of fucking energy. I just don't think that models take that into account. I don't even think they take Bitcoin mining into account. They don't take new technological revolutions into account. And so anyways, I think Elon really realizes like, hey, if we're going to do all the cool shit that we want to do in the future, of course we need to become more energy efficient. But curbing energy usage just isn't. It's not on the table. And
and you can make a moral case that it shouldn't be. I mean, why should folks in Africa have to live below the energy poverty level?
Why should we in Texas have to fucking deal with it?
Yeah,
like you stop talking about people in Africa. Start talking about people in Texas not having reliable. And I mean, talking to someone at my gym yesterday, his electricity bill is $650 this week or this month. And he's worried about being able to pay that. And he gets on Power to Choose. Where's he going to go? All electricity prices are just as high. Like I'm starting to hear people that it's becoming a fucking problem.
Yeah.
And so, care about everyone around the world, but we don't even have to extrapolate internationally. Look at the people in Texas. We never had this growing up. We always had access to cheap and reliable energy. I don't remember having blackouts, brownouts when I was a kid. Now all of a sudden energy prices are soaring. We're getting notices from ERCOT that we need to limit energy usage. Like let's focus on home.
I got one thing to do with Elon real quick. So I'm gonna look at the camera and do this. Elon, you need to come and be the headline speaker at our conference Fuze. You're a Texan now. It's going to be really cool. It's going to have a South by Southwest vibe. It's the largest energy tech conference. And me, Jake, and Colin have talked about it. You can impregnate any one of the three of us if you'll come and do it.
I
think that's going to work.
I don't remember agreeing to that, but if it gets Elon,
I like he's going to choose you.
Yeah,
I'm
Elon,
the cutest one. I'm the one getting chosen.
If Elon's going to be in Texas, if he's going to fuck around with energy, he has to be involved with digital wildcatters. So we'll make that happen. So anyways, finalizing.
And we got one last thing, and it's only because I wrote a funny joke. So that's why we're going to say it. The SPR, this is just a fun fact for you guys. The SPR is at its lowest level since 1984. The number one album in America was 1984 by Van Halen. Jump was the number one song. Michael Jackson was still alive. The Police were still together. We've been sucking at that thing like a fat kid on a Whataburger milkshake. I'm out. That was my joke.
Chuck was just chomping at the bit to be able to tell that joke. But no, the context of that is like, yeah, I don't remember any of those things. So,
but no, I mean, in all seriousness, the reason we have to be cognizant of it is think second level effects. Let's go a hurricane in the Gulf of Mexico, and let's go 2 terrorists attack on tankers. And we got lines potentially for gasoline. I mean, we need to think about these things.
Oh, did you see this story real quick? It's not on our list, but I saw a video of it in Poland. People lined up for miles to get coal, and they're rationing out coal so that they can heat their homes. And apparently, I have to look into this more, but apparently Poland's just been like anti renewables and still very much relying on coal for everything. But anyways, the news video is just showing coal lines cars lined up for miles to get a ration of coal.
The number one Googled search in Germany is how do I get firewood?
Damn.
Supposedly, I've heard that in all seriousness.
Yeah.
So
we can look that up pretty easy. We should go on Google Trends in Germany and see
I'm
if
not gonna like check my facts.
just like I'm just throwing out good stories here. All right, who do we got for finger of the week?
Okay, we got to have just a moment here. In a first, you and I could not agree on the finger of the week. So for the first time ever, we have co-winners. Let me see if I can scroll down to get it. Here we go. All right, you chose California. Why did you choose California for finger of the week?
Yeah, so California has implemented a ban.
It's all back to Elon and impregnating people, implanting. What are you doing?
Got implants on my mind. Where was I going? Oh, California implementing a ban on internal combustion engines, saying that no gas cars can be sold by the year 2035, which is not that far away in the grand scheme of things. And I think that this is terrible policy. Also saw a quick bit that 10 of the people that voted on this are unelected officials. And so I think this is a underlying issue with having people that aren't appointed by society. I just don't see this helping the people of California. I have a hard time seeing us getting to a point where electric vehicles are affordable for everyone over the next 10 to 15 years. I mean, I'm someone who's in the market for an EV if I could find one that I like that's also affordable. But even at this point, like I don't want to go spend $70K on a car. And imagine the majority of people don't want to do that either. So I think that this is going to have some weird second order effects, ripples throughout the car market, of the auto industry in the US. I don't know if people can buy the cars outside the state and have them registered in California, or they have them registered in other states. The percentage of cars that California buys, I mean, it's a material percentage of new cars that I don't have the number, but even say if it's a few percent, what's that going to do on pricing and inventory across the United States? And then are you going to be able to get an electric vehicle in other parts of the US if they're all going to California? So I haven't got to like sit down and think about the ripple effects of that, but I just don't think that this is good policy. I don't think it's good policy banning gas generators that are used for backup power. Just seeing some really wacky stuff come out of California.
No, and the thing I don't like about it is the people that bear the brunt of that, not Gavin Newsom, the governor, not the rich elites living in the Hollywood hills. It's poor people. I mean, that's it. Poor people are going to bear the brunt of this. So, all right. We couldn't agree. So my finger of the week went to Vince Neil, lead singer of Mötley Crüe. He is mailing it in on this tour. I mean, the definition of take the money and run on this tour. So I missed the Mötley Crüe, Def Leppard, Poison, Joan Jett show in Houston because I had my girls that weekend, and I was like, hey, girls, if y'all really love Daddy, we would go to this show. And Sarah's like, Daddy, what makes you think I love you that much? So anyway, they were with their mom this weekend. So I flew out to LA to go see the show. So this actually has an energy tied to it. So I texted a buddy of mine. So here's my review of Mötley Crüe. Vince Neil is out of breath. Tommy is faking it to recorded tracks, which was funny because Tommy's like playing the drums on the camera and stuff. And then he thought the camera would go off and we'd reach over and take a drink of water, and the drums are still going. Nikki Sixx is maybe the greatest songwriter of kind of the glam metal era, if you want. Marginal bass player at best, right? Mick Mars, and this is kind of sad. He has a debilitating arthritis condition, but he's about to fall over. I mean, he's sitting there, shriveled up, still can play guitar and all that. And I said, other than that, it's great. And a very, very noted energy investor that I texted this to, and I'm not going to say his name because I don't have permission, text back, dude, it's still Mötley fucking Crüe. Point taken. But Vince, finger of the week.
What you get?
Because no, it was like this. It was like this. He would go, kickstart my heart. I mean, anyway.
Well, I'm sorry.
Joan Jett was amazing, and everybody needs to see her.
Sorry that you were disappointed
Yes.
in your experience. But guys and girls, appreciate y'all tuning in to BDE this week, and always enjoy seeing y'all in the comments and making it to where I'm not just with Chuck by myself. On that note, my buddies at Token Proof, I put this out in a tweet today, but they, not just buddies, two of our investors at Digital Wildcatters, they raised a $5 million round for their company, Token Proof. They got investors like Mark Cuban, but they have Eva Longoria. And I'm like, how did you get Eva? And I've got Chuck here with me. I got shafted on that deal, but that
next time you need help analyzing an acquisition or arranging a line of credit, you can chat with Eva. I'm just saying.
All right, we'll catch y'all next week, 10:30 a.m. Tuesday.